Straight out of the box, these earphones seem to have a bit of an issue with them, but I have spent a little time with these just to get to know them a little better, and I can honestly say they have grown on me a bit. These little jewels in this little box are the Sennheiser CX400BT, and these could possibly be your next set of earphones. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. You've been on YouTube before, so you know exactly how to support me. So let's jump straight into the build and detail of these. These earphones come in a very premium looking case. It's got a black matte finish all around the case as well as on the earphones. There's a mirror finished Sennheiser logo on the top of the case, whereas the inner part of the lid has Sennheiser written on it. Considering that this is a matte finish, it is unlikely that scratches will show on these anytime soon. This same set of earphones is also available in white. The case has a glossy black band under the lid. The button on the case is not a pairing button. It is only for the battery indication. The earphones also sport a black matte finish with a glossy touch panel. The attention to detail is superb. Then again, these earphones were being sold at an MRP which is much higher than what they are available for now. The one thing I like about this case is that it has a very classy sounding snap when you shut it. One thing to keep in mind when operating these earphones is when you open them, they do not switch on and pair to your phone like most other earphones. You have to take the earphones out of the case and only then will they sync up with your phone. The way these fit is a bit odd for me. You insert and twist the earphones. This is so that they sit within the concha securely. I'm pretty sure these will stay in your ear no matter what physical activity you're into, but I do find these to get a little uncomfortable after over 15 minutes of use. I've also tried this with various earbud sizes that only helped me with the seal, not the comfort. The way these fit is obviously subjective. On a feature front, it's almost like most earphones you get in the market today. It's got USB-C charging, Bluetooth 5.1. It's got touch controls that are super sensitive. A gentle touch gets them to respond, so you don't have to smack at them like some other earphones. One tap to play and pause, double tap on either bud takes you to the previous or next track, and you can assign triple tap to your voice assistant or something you like from the Sennheiser Smart Control app. Pressing and holding on either the right or left bud will let you increase or reduce your volume respectively. The app also lets you update the firmware should it have any. You can do a factory reset right from the app, which is neat. The app also features EQ settings which you can tune to your liking. I will be speaking about the sound in that specific chapter, but I'll be speaking about how these sound out of the box, not with the EQ on, because that can be very subjective. Two specific features that these don't have is that these don't have an IP rating. Maybe Sennheiser just didn't send these in to get these IP rated, but it leaves you wondering, will these really survive a downpour in the rain if you're exercising? And the other thing is these don't have active noise cancelling, so that could be a make or break for many people, considering active noise cancelling has become so popular in lower price segments. Moving on to call clarity, makes you wonder if these even have environmental noise cancelling, considering they don't have active noise cancelling. Anyway, let's find out. So here I am back on the busy street where I normally record most of these conversations, so you get an idea of how good the ENC works or not. Now, I'm not sure, of course, if these do have them, so I have been playing back off the camera audio, and I will be switching over to the Sennheiser audio right about now. It will be interesting to see whether these have ENC or not, because it's a standard feature that is expected on most earphones now. For that matter, even earphones that go for just about 2,000 or 3,000 we have. So let's see how well it eliminates the traffic noise and the construction noise behind me, if it does anything. So in this situation, you are the best judge to see whether or not these work out for you for these phone calls, because this is exactly what your recipient is going to be hearing. And I'll see you back in the studio. These things can whisper to you quite clearly at about 5% volume. Then again, they can also hammer out your audio very enthusiastically well past 70%. I didn't listen to much audio past 70% because it gets more than loud enough for me at that volume. There doesn't seem to be much distortion past 70%. Rather, these seem to pronounce compression at higher volumes. Their soundstage, as most TWS earphones, cast a little bubble of audio within your head. I didn't get a sense of any tones coming at me from further out of the earphones with these. Instruments and harmonies are spread out well, but I wish the stage did have an illusion of being a little wider. The phantom channel is well centered, and the vocals don't linger from there unless these glitch a little, which has happened from time to time. When it comes to their imaging, in true Sennheiser fashion, these are sharp with their detailing being spot on with most instruments and vocals, making it quite easy to zone in on any nuances in the audio you're listening to. Listening to The Good Old Days by Ron Pope and the Marys, which is a simple acoustic piece. The imaging of these made it quite easy for me to zone in on the female vocals or strings whenever I liked what was being done in this track. The high frequencies come to you unapologetically clean. They aren't piercing or aggressive and almost put on a show for you whenever you're listening to good recordings. Listening to Alan Taylor's Wheel of Fortune, these made me see why Sennheiser refers to these drivers as having audiophile driver technology. When it comes to the mid frequencies, vocal harmonies, male or female vocals, come to you in a very calm approach. Aaron Wright singing Build It Better almost lulled me to sleep one late evening while listening to this track. This range handles instruments in a similar manner. If I have to be picky about how the mid-range sounds, I'd say the lower mids do sound as if they could have used a bit more kick. It does sound like it starts dipping off a bit from this range, so some male vocals can tend to sound a bit nasal if the vocalist is known for a deep voice. The lower frequencies are rolled off a bit, so these may not be for everybody. Having said that, it's not that they're lacking really. It's like the much lower frequencies from 100 Hz and lower aren't quite as existent as I'd like them to be. If you're a bass head and that's your thing, these aren't too much of fun to listen to. But while listening to Shawn Mendes perform Lost in Japan, it's easy to get lost in enjoying how these deliver their bass. It's tight and clean, no distortion, and it's super composed. Now, no doubt you could move on to the EQ settings and customize the sound as to what you want to emphasize that bass. But the EQ modes come with two different options. One setting of the EQ is a terrific visual treat. You just put your finger on a circle and move it about as to see what kind of frequency range you want boosted or reduced. The other is a 3-band EQ, so you can tune these earphones the way you want them to, but it does have its limitations with the EQ. Okay, so this is a tricky one because these are a nice set of earphones. They've got their plus points, they've got their negatives. Now, their negatives are there's no IP rating, there's no ANC, and judging by how that call sounded, it didn't sound like it had ENC. I have faced a little bit of intermittent skipping or cutting with the audio. It has been cutting out and skipping a few times whenever I've been testing it, which can be a bit annoying in the long run, but it seems to have settled out a bit. It's not doing that as frequently as it was when I first paired it. One deal breaker for a lot of people with these earphones could be that they do not have active noise cancelling for their price. They just have passive isolation, which is as good as putting your fingers in your ear and just blocking them out. There's nothing electronically involved in that. Then it takes a little getting used to, because if you've used other Bluetooth earphones, you're used to opening the lid of those, and that normally switches it on and pairs it with your phone. This doesn't do that. You have to take it out of the case, only then does it switch on. So there's a bit of a learning curve with these, but I suppose once you own them, you'll get used to it. So let's talk about the sound. These are transparent sounding earphones, which you normally expect in a much higher price bracket, which these were. This may not work for a lot of people because if you're not listening to a good recording, it's very clear that it's not a good recorded track, and you can mistake that for bad sounding earphones. A lot of people will point at the earphones saying that it's the earphones and not the recording. That realization is not quite there. Take for example the other earphones I'm testing right now, the Nothing Ear ones. You throw anything at them, they somehow sound decent. They're not transparent, so it won't let you know if you're listening to a good or bad recording. The Sennheisers, on the other hand, make it very clear. These earphones also have the character of not wanting to be very bass heavy. These are not catered towards the bass enthusiast. It's more catered towards the person who wants to listen to better audio recordings, clearer music. I'd say things like classical music, country music, acoustic music will sound really terrific with these. The minute you start approaching dance music or anything much heavier, these tend to fall flat a bit because you obviously want bass extension from the 100 Hz and lower. These don't really seem to do that well. Committing to these makes it very difficult because at that price range, today you've got an enormous variety of different earphones that have come into the market. Things like Nothing Ear Ones and I think the OnePlus Buds Z2 I think are doing well. I've not yet reviewed those, but considering the amount of earphones that are available at this price or a little less, and considering how good they are at what they do, it's difficult to consider looking at Sennheiser for that little bit of a premium cost, because you do have a certain amount of diminishing returns going on. Yes, you will be paying $1,000 more for slightly better sound if you're into more detail, but your trade-off is you're not going to have ANC or you don't have an IP rating. So it is something you need to weigh the pros and cons for and make that decision. So would I recommend these earphones to anyone? Considering these earphones were going for almost 17,000, I think they were 16,990 here in India, and now they're going for about 7,990. That is a terrific deal. But if you are a bass head and you enjoy more dance music, that's a definite no-no for you. If you're somebody who is looking for, I'd say, a second set of earphones that's not bass heavy and you want finer detail, you want better imaging, I'd say yes, these make a lot of sense. I'd say these are a stepping stone towards the Sennheiser Momentums maybe. Ironically, this and the Momentum share a lot of hardware, but these are tuned very differently, and of course this is lacking a lot of features compared to that. But yes, these earphones I'd say are not for absolutely everyone. You have to be careful before getting these. Keep in mind of what you like and dislike. Only then should you make your decision about these. So if you enjoy the content on my channel and you did find it helpful, remember to like and subscribe. It does help the channel. And thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.